And here we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. And I have my first Facebook Live of the week this week with somebody doing amazing work out there in the branding world. This is Sarah Miner. I want to welcome you and give you guys a little bit of background on Sarah. She's a graphic and web designer, illustrator, digital marketer, and she concentrates in graphic design, sculpture, and drawing. And in school, she did also a minor in journalism. So she's covered a lot of bases. She's originally from Las Vegas, Nevada, and is now in Alabama, where I'm guessing it's not snowing. And then back to Vegas when she was 21, and then finally settled back in Alabama. So she is in the South with us. And what she is doing now is freelancing, and she's been doing that since 2010, and then launched her business, Sarah L. Miner Design, in 2015. So she's been at this a while, folks. And one of my biggest questions always is around branding for my business and for my programs. So she's always open to empowering other business owners, side hustlers, and content creators to get to their destination together. Welcome, Sarah. How you doing?
Thank you. Yes, I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
Fantastic. So a lot of back and forth between Alabama and Las Vegas, huh?
Yeah, quite a bit.
And either way, you
I
like
I
it
definitely
warm from the
learned.
sounds of it.
Wait, what?
Either way, you like it warm from the sounds of it.
Oh, that wasn't a choice the first go round.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Actually, if I had a choice, I would be back in the dry air, dry heat, so to speak. My skin does a lot better. I don't feel like I'm being smothered.
Yeah, I got you with the humidity. That's
Oh
so,
yeah.
so true. So you've been at this quite a while. And what I'm curious about is what it is about what you do that makes it fun for you and really is kind of unique about you that helps transform things for your clients. I really enjoyed our phone conversation and got a very neat feel for kind of how unique you are in your approach to things.
Yeah, I think what makes me really unique is I have a background in both digital marketing and branding. And so the way I see it is like I dig deep when it comes to your brand. And I see it really as the foundation of your business. And so when I approach something, I don't just think about, okay, I'm going to make this logo, be done, and we're done, then we're done with it. I don't think of it that way. I think of it as, okay, who is your audience? What kind of voice are you trying to portray to your audience? And how can we make your brand say that?
I love
Um,
that. So
yeah,
talk to
because
me a little bit about, you said dig deep. So when you're working with the client, what do you do to really pull some of that out of them, their voice, so to speak?
well, I ask them questions, just simple questions like, what are you passionate about? Why did
Oh, that
you
may or may not be related to their business, huh?
may or may not, but it reflects who we are no matter what. So, I'm from Las Vegas. That reflects me as a designer, whether I want it to or not. That raising, being raised in a big city and then moving to a small city, small town
Oh,
when
good
I was
point.
16 years old made a huge impact on me. So your story, why you do what you do matters. And it matters more now that with the pandemic happening, we're all more online. People are buying because of how you make them feel. And so I dig deep into why they do what they do, no matter what it is that no matter where you came from or there's so many things, so many layers, and I
Mhm.
say dig deep because miners have to dig deep and my name is Miner.
I like that.
And
I
so I
like
put on the
that.
hard hat and I dig deep and I try to find the diamonds, you
I
know?
really, really like that. And you talked about story, and I think that's so important. There's so much about stories that have everything to do with what we do, not just our marketing, but also how we deliver our service to people is all part of that story. But the interesting thing is, you hear things like your mess is your message. And I think that, my friend Jen Gottlieb uses that expression. I don't know, I'm not sure if she originated it or passes it on, but either way, I love that particular expression, because it sounds like you mine for the mess and help it become part of the messaging, which is
Yes.
fantastic. So tell us the story of the most challenging branding without naming names. Like, what makes working with a client or their particular brand challenging for you? What can we as entrepreneurs do to give you what you need to really shine so that you don't hit those challenges?
Well, I think what makes it the most challenging is if you're not willing to answer my questions. You
Huh.
know, I think that's a huge thing. I've given out questionnaires. I always give out questionnaires before I even decide to work with you. And if you don't even bother to answer the questions, then it's just not a good fit.
You know that up front before you ever sign
Yeah,
the paper.
yeah, I do that up front before I even decide to work with you. And it's to the point now where sometimes saying no to a client is a lot more beneficial for the both of us, because
Got
it's no point in wasting time and money if it's just going to be a hassle.
Yeah.
But what your audience can hear and learn is that the more that you dig deep yourself, the easier it is to work with me, because I truly want you to succeed. And if you don't know what your future holds, if you don't have that vision, I can help you find that vision, but you have to answer my questions. You have to let
Mhm.
me help you.
So
You know
there's
that
really
old saying,
more
"Let
here
me
than
help you. Help you," you know?
yeah, there's more here. What I'm hearing about this is there's more here than just, here, we're going to build your brand, we're going to build your logo. It's part of this is helping you almost coach a little bit to help people also discover what they've really got as a vision for their business. So if
Absolutely.
they come in a little scattered on that and know they have a talent or have a skill,
Mhm.
but not necessarily know what they ought to be doing with it, you can actually help kind of extract that from them as well, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if anything, that's kind of a secondary, um, acts or secondary thing that I'm wanting to get into is I didn't even realize it until the many years that I've been doing this, but I'm all about educating. First and foremost, my mother was an educator, and she retired, and she was an English, math, and library, uh
Okay, so you
yeah.
had all your papers corrected and edited too, right?
Yes.
Me too.
Yes, my mom actually taught me how to read and write, because
Oh,
I had a
wow,
teacher that
cool.
didn't believe in me. So and that's a great story that
Oh, yeah.
get to a whole 'nother time, but,
Yeah,
really
that
what it
sounds like you
boils
got
down
tons of
to
interest in it.
well, what really it boils down to is I want to make sure that I serve my audience, serve my clients, serve them, to a point where they are either ready for me or they're not. But it doesn't matter. I'm gonna provide value no matter what.
Got
And
it.
I want them to be able to really truly come away with it happy, excited about their business. Because for me, it's not really all about the money. The money is a necessity, yes,
Mhm.
but it's not the reason why I do what I do.
Got it, and
Why I do what I do.
you don't
What?
just deliver a thumbnail and a JPEG when you're done,
Right.
basically. So if somebody comes and says, "I just need a logo," that's not your client.
Nope.
Your client is, "This is my business, I need to brand it. I want a logo as part of the outcome." But it's kinda like when people start wanting to do a podcast and they think the most important thing is, "What mic should I use?" And really the important thing is, can you be consistent? What's the content you're gonna provide? How often are you gonna record it? All of the other things related to making it a meaningful package, and then, sure, slap on a mic, but you can have an okay mic and fantastic content, and that's going to be more important than the best mic you can buy and inconsistency or lack of content. It sounds like a similar sort of
Yeah,
situation. The logo itself is an outgrowth as opposed to the
absolutely.
actual. Yep.
Absolutely. So, to kind of delve more into that, as I said earlier, it's about foundation.
Hmm.
So your logo is just a piece of your brand identity. So I'm discovering what your identity is as your business. And, that's just a little piece of it. We got to think of your voice. We got to think of the colors. We got to think of even imagery. So, when
Yeah,
you're going to do a post or a video or whatever it may be, we need to figure out what that looks like. Is it about wonderful landscape sceneries, or is it about the hustle and bustle of a city? Those are
got
two
it.
completely different voices.
Really, really true. So when I'm talking to you, if I've hired you, you're also going to help me understand when I'm doing videos, these are the backgrounds I should have. Or when I put a thumbnail on YouTube, this is the look and feel it should have.
Mhm.
And I love that because that's often something I come up with. It seems everywhere or every kind of program I do or thing I'm doing, like even with these Facebook Lives that we've been doing, I pretty much put a picture of the person that I'm doing it with on the announcement, but I don't have a nice Canva cover for it. And somebody mentioned to me, you have to get your personality on this, create a Canva cover for them so they all look consistent and drop the person's picture. And that I'm like, wow, that's a really good idea. Wouldn't
Mhm.
have occurred to me that that would be something I'd want to align with everything else I'm doing in look and feel. So that's a really good tip, everybody, is take it. Don't look at mine because I'd fail, but look at yours and go through all the different ways that you communicate: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, your emails,
Mhm.
phone calls, logos, and see if there's an integrated theme there. So, along those lines, one of the things I know we talked about is you do a brand audit. Does that mean that you go in and you look at all of that stuff for people? Like you look across all those platforms and try and say, yes, they're linked or not linked, or do you try and extract the personality from what you see in that audit?
It's kind of a combination of that. So I don't look just at their social media. I look at everything. So I look at their website. I look at their branding. If they have business cards, if they have,
Okay.
everything. If they don't have a logo, then that right there is their first problem. So,
Gotcha.
um, but I look at all of it and I look to see if there's any inconsistencies. If, as I said earlier, if their voice does not appear through their branding, their current branding,
Yep.
then I will say something. I will tell them, this brand analysis, as I call it, is a way for me to say, okay, this is what's working and this is what's not working.
Hmm.
And how can I come in and help you to make it work
I
from
love that.
all platforms.
I really, really like that because I think what's happened. So I'm an example, and I know there are a lot of people in this group who've come out of corporate and are now doing entrepreneurial work. And I've been at this now I've been at it 5 years. And when I first came out of corporate, I had my logo done, and it's the one up here in the corner of this stream, and it's a fine, good logo. But since that time, my personality and brand have really evolved. And
Do you want me to
yeah, give it to
analyze
me.
it
Let
right
me
now?
tear me apart here, folks. This is what a brand. I'd appreciate that. That'd be great
Yeah,
because now I've got like this personality, but I don't feel like any of my stuff really conveys it.
right. And you know what? I can say right away that it is not you.
Yeah,
It is not
fascinating. Yep,
It is not buoyant. It is not energetic. It is
yep,
not um, colorful.
yep.
It doesn't convey who you are.
It's
And if
not fun
anything, it looks
loving. It's
very
not
corporate.
finances fun. Yeah, it's corporate. It's exactly right. And I whatever you call I contracted for this right as I was coming out of corporate, thinking I
Mhm.
need a logo. And and since then we've got finances fun, we have conversation, we have a lot of laughter, all of that stuff. It's just not there. So that's one of the
Well, it's
reasons that
because you
we
found your voice doing what you've been doing the past 5 years, and you weren't your true self when you were in corporate.
I would agree with that. Or is it
And that's
yeah, it
what's
was a
happened.
very
You've blossomed into what you are today,
yeah, I have
and your
evolved
brand no
for
longer reflects
sure.
that.
Yeah, that is spot on. And I hadn't thought about it until we had this conversation and you're
Mhm.
talking about the whole personality and everything. And I'm looking at my logo going, yeah, that looks like my corporate logo. And it is. So that's fascinating. We're going to have to talk more after this call. But that's an important thing to note, folks. So especially those of us coming out of corporate, and it's not, I was still this person in corporate, but I didn't have to have a logo in corporate, right? In
Mhm.
corporate, I was a leader and I set the tone and the culture in my organizations. but the branding for the company was always done and wasn't mine. My branding didn't include a logo. It just included how my office looked, how I walked around the office, what I wore, how I interacted with people. That's how they became to know the leader that I was. But when I came out, all I knew of branding was creating a logo for the company.
Mhm.
And it didn't occur to me that it should incorporate the personality of the business owner and that whole brand, which is, really, really enlightening. It's been an eye opener here having this conversation with you, because the other thing, we can get very attached to our logos, right?
Yes.
So I've had this thing for 5 years. Now I know it is mine. It feels like, like
A piece of your arm.
part of me, even though it's not. I never had any real, I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it. It was just like, oh yeah, that's a good logo. But I didn't do anything with it. So it's really kind of cool now for me to rethink. And we're going to have to talk, because I do need to, I think, redo it. And I love the idea. And folks, this is what I really hope you hear on this, is it's not just the logo. It's picking your look and feel, picking your personality, picking all the things you just came up with. I never do a call without energy. I never, inevitably something comes up that I say that's ridiculous or stupid or funny. I mean, it's just one of those things that happens, but yet there's this core of, absolute, I know my stuff professionalism, because I do. And that is all what I would want bundled up, not just in a logo, but in everything,
Yeah.
like all the videos, so that's really fun. So do you help your clients with, here's how to film your videos, here's the background you should be in,
Yeah, absolutely. I'll
okay.
tell them anything they need to know. Like I said, a part of it is educating them
Yeah.
and really helping them to be intentional with
To
their
hit this
branding.
light bulb moment that I just hit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really about finding within yourself who you truly want to show to
Mhm.
everybody else. Because, people who don't want to be, on the forefront of their brand, that's okay too, but you also need to make sure that it's still going to convey what it is that you want it to convey. If
Mhm.
you want it to be corporate, then it's not gonna look good if it's, all these different flashy colors and,
Yeah.
you know?
Very
So,
good point.
yeah, you don't want it to show opposite of what you feel,
Right.
opposite of what you want people to feel.
Yeah. I
So,
like I like what Trish is saying here. The whole package represents our personality, and it
exactly.
may or may not be like, if you want, a lot of folks want to create a business that's separate from them, which is fine, but the thing you're creating has a personality,
It does, it
and
does.
and
It's
you
just
want to
like
convey
when
that. I love it.
Well, it's like when I talk to people about when they're doing their social media marketing and how you have to pick kind of an avatar for who it
Mhm.
is that you're going to present all of this content to. It's the same thing when you're thinking about your brand too. It shouldn't be any different. It should be all one and the same. And you're going to have
Right.
several different avatars that are going to represent the different aspects of what you provide. It
Yep.
could be a product that you provide, it could be a service that you provide, but each of them have to be, specific to a person. And I even have names for my avatars. I
You
have
name them.
I
I've heard
have
of people
Helen.
doing that.
Yeah, I have Helen who lives in LA who is single, and she makes $85,000 a year, almost close to 100K because she's probably going to get a promotion in a few minutes, and a few minutes. Um,
It works. I'm sure
but
Helen's happy.
But I even know what she reads. I know what podcasts she listens to. I know all of that, and she's a
Mhm.
fake person, but she's real to me because
Got
that's
it.
who I'm trying to talk to.
Got it. And then you go through that exercise with all your
Yeah,
clients as well.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
absolutely.
What do you do with the client who is difficult like me and says things like, "Well, there are a few of them. I have the mompreneur who is just starting a business. I have something that caters to them. I have the six-figure business owner who's ready to move to $1 million. I have the eight-figure business owners that need an embedded CFO." How do you deal with those split personality people that have Now the personality is the same with every single group that I work with, but
Yeah.
they're very different avatars.
Well, that's where you choose you actually choose a service, or a product for that
Got
specific
it.
avatar. So you
Got
still
it.
have to break it down
Got it.
to what it is that they are going to want from you.
Understood. So I
So
have like
you're not
3
gonna offer
products.
the same service or product to the CEO, who makes over 3 million a year
Yep.
versus the newly mompreneur. You know,
Yep.
you're gonna offer them completely different services because their income level is completely different.
Got so
Their needs are completely different.
the needs are completely different. Although the systems are the same, the way they're applied are completely different. So
Yes, and your
the
structure is gonna stay the same,
got
but
it.
you have to create different products or services specific to that avatar.
Avatar. So kind of what I'm hearing is for people who do have this, and I've had this conversation with a lot of folks in this group is, I don't have one specific avatar, but you do probably have a product.
Mhm.
Every product you have probably has a specific avatar. So branding in broad terms is taking you do have a whole look and feel for your whole business or your whole personality, whichever you're going to deal with, but you also might have much more specific branding still linked to your overall company branding for each of those products so that it all feels
Absolutely.
like a big package. But if you're talking to a mompreneur, you're telling them you're not being any different in your overall personality, but you're providing them information about what they need.
Yes. You
Got
know,
it.
it's the reason I do the brand analysis is because I can determine not only to give them value, but also to determine if they're ready for me or not.
Yep, got it.
You know, if they're not ready for me, if they're just starting out and they just want education, and, I give education away,
No,
you
it's what you're
know?
doing here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm doing here as well, and it's all about providing that value so that they can eventually know, like, and trust you, and
Mhm,
when they are ready, they know who to go to because of the way you treated them, the way
mhm.
you made them feel, as I said earlier.
So true. It's so,
Yeah.
so true. It's definitely the way it is in my business as well. It's most clients I have, I've known for 6 months to 24 months, and we've built a relationship long before we do business. Now, the interesting thing about that is a lot of folks don't have that runway of time to build something like that. I've been in it 5 years, so I can, it's okay. But
Mhm.
when somebody is brand new, what would you tell somebody who is just starting out today saying, I have an idea, I have this thing that I do that I know I do really well, and I'm going to sell it to, and I have an avatar in mind. So an avatar, just for those who might not know, who's your ideal client? Who is it you're
Mhm.
talking to? Who needs you? What are some of like steps 1, 2, and 3 they should take in thinking about branding?
Well, they need to, if they have the avatar in mind, then they need to think about, okay, so where is the avatar going? What are they buying? What are they listening to? What are their favorite colors? Are they married? Do they have children? All of those different things, because that can determine, like, for instance, if you're going to do a brand that only is, appealing to women, then you need to make sure that that's who your avatar is.
Got it. So
So,
really, really know them, but
really know them.
not
Yes.
just like the basics, like male,
Not the generic
female.
general, like, for instance, to give you an example, you did generic when you were
Mhm.
telling me about the 3 tiers that you work with.
Yep.
The mompreneur,
Six to
CEO.
seven. Yep.
Yeah, those are too generic.
Gotcha.
Like I said, you need to dig deep, you need to look for the diamonds, which
Love it.
in your case, the metaphor for it is, how are they gonna pay you? What is going to be the moment that they're like, "Oh, I wanna give you money because you can truly help me."
Gotcha. So
And that's what
really
you
know
gotta
that
dig deep
moment.
to. Yeah.
Got it. And in the case of I see Trish is on here watching, in the case of Trish, she runs a not-for-profit, and in those cases, we're trying to identify people and get them to donate. So
Yes.
what we really wanna know about them is what drives their donation decisions, what
Yes.
makes them feel good about
Mhm.
having participated, and then use that as the emphasis.
Appeal to their feelings.
Got it.
Appeal to their emotions because that's how people are buying.
Mhm.
And women actually are a lot harder to convince than men.
For
Men,
real.
yes, I have actually studied this, and men are very much they're more prone to take a risk.
Oh, okay.
And women have to talk it through. And
Interesting.
they have to know, like, and trust you a little bit more than men.
Got it.
And so, with the nonprofits and, with Trisha you were mentioning, she needs to appeal to the people that either the men or the women, it doesn't matter, but, either way, she needs to talk to the decision makers,
Mhm.
the ones that are going to be able to give her the money
Yep.
and then she can, kind of build a rapport with them and then, get to know them a little bit more and then she can pitch them. But before then, she needs to figure out who they are,
Mhm.
what she can do, what kind of value she can provide to them, and then it'll be easier. Like I always say, sell hard and the selling will. I mean, serve hard and the selling will come easy
I
because
like
it's
that. That's a
really not
great
about selling.
line. I
It's
like
not about
that.
selling,
Serve
and
hard
for
and sell.
nonprofits especially, it's not about selling. It's about pretty much with nonprofits, it's about helping,
Yep.
and you can't do it alone, and so
Right.
you have to get donations or sponsors,
Mhm.
and so yeah,
And it's appealing to those same emotions, which Trish does a great job of identifying the people who are the most likely to really feel good in participating in this not-for-profit, and I think that's what we need to do in all of them as well.
hmm
So, all right, so let me ask you a question. So this audit thing, you mentioned to me that you might be willing to offer anybody who's seeing this a free brand audit.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
what is the best number one, folks? Wow, thank you very much. But what is the best way for people to get in touch with you if they're interested in getting that free brand offer?
So
Free
my
brand.
email address is Sarah at so SARAH at
Mhm.
Sarah L as in Larry minor MINOR design.com.
Okay, and I will drop that in the comments, folks. So don't worry about writing that down. I'll drop that in the comments. And should they just say saw you on Pam's Facebook Live,
Yeah,
and you'll be willing to do that? That is awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's
yeah.
incredibly generous. And I will certainly be talking to you about my branding because I've got the logo, love the logo, but I don't even think about it anymore. And I should because it's
And you
not
should,
really,
absolutely, because it
yeah,
doesn't portray who you are.
yeah, I love that. So we're going to have to chat separately about that. Sounds like I may be calling you for a brand audit.
Yeah.
And then if anything you would leave with folks, just entrepreneurs from corporate switching into entrepreneurship, mompreneurs, folks who are really trying to break through a six-figure dollar business into a seven. What's a really good takeaway somebody can look at tomorrow and make a difference as it relates to their branding?
Remember who you are
Hmm,
and
I love that.
remember why you started your business in the first place. And if what you're showing to other people is not who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, then you need to reevaluate yourself. And you need to come
That's
talk to
great.
me because I truly care about who you are and why you do what you do. And I want you to also see that.
I love that. That is brilliant. So know who you are, know what you're trying to convey, and then look at your stuff and see if it's really conveying that and your why. And I myself, not a great grade on this, folks. So I know I'm going to reevaluate and talk to you, Sarah, and anybody else who wants to. We will drop her contact information. I can't thank you enough for coming into this live and giving us all something really important to think about because the only way we're attracting people right now is online. So if
Yeah.
our online presence doesn't convey who we are, we're missing the boat. And
Yeah.
Lord knows we don't want to do that these days. So thank you very, very much. I've really appreciated this, and I know the group does as well.
Well, thank you for having me. And anybody is free to reach out to me, and I'd love to have a conversation.
Awesome. Good deal. All right, folks, goodbye. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will see you again tomorrow. Take care.